Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. I have made a couple of videos in recent weeks, but also longer ago already, about the pipeline project Nord Stream 2 in the Baltic Sea that is supposed, and that is almost completed right now, and that is supposed to bring natural gas directly from Russia to Western Europe. It will go to Germany, but it will not only go to Germany, this gas. I mean, the pipeline ends in Germany, but from there it goes on to many other Western European countries. And it is not just Germany that will profit from that. If you check out my last videos on the topic, you see the controversy about it that especially the United States doesn't want us to finish this project, and they threatened us with sanctions. So individuals and companies, they threatened with sanctions. And now this has taken a very dramatic turn. As you know, it is almost completed. Um, Sanctions were or let's say a Swiss company that had a special construction vessel for putting these pipes down at the bottom of the ocean. They turned back from their contract because of US sanctions. Now the Russians outfitted a construction vessel of their own, and now the dramatic turn of events is, of course, a internal Russian incident. Yeah, there is an opposition guy, a politician, a dissident, Mr. Navalny, and he collapsed on a inner Russian flight. Um, then he was treated in Russia in a hospital, and he was flown out then, however, on the initiative of a private NGO or something, a German one, to Germany. And he is now being treated in the Charité in Berlin. That's a big hospital in Berlin, very big hospital. And there he's treated now. So he was checked then, or by a special lab from the German army, the Deutsche Bundeswehr, and they concluded that he was poisoned apparently with a nerve agent that was manufactured in the Soviet Union, but also a little bit afterwards still, so from the 1970s until 1993. In English, these substances go under the term newcomers, yeah? And these agents, they are inhibitors of some neurotransmitters, and they work like some pesticides, some insecticides, basically. They will make your muscles stop working, like your respiratory muscles and your heart, so your diaphragm, your heart muscle, all that stuff stops working. The we call it Stammhirn. What is that again? Like, it's a part of the brain that is controlling all these non-conscious muscle movements. Like, you don't consciously think about your heart beating, right? This is it called stem brain? Probably, right? And so this is disconnected in that sense from your muscles, so they stop working, and then, of course, you die a painful death. In Russia, he was treated, however, I think with atropine, it is called, or something. This is what you would give people who have these kind of, who are poisoned like that. And then, his life was saved in that sense, and he is now in an artificial coma. But it remains to be seen if he can ever recover from that. This is a very severe agent. It is much more potent, much more dangerous than these pesticides that you can get poisoned with when you are maybe walking in a field that you're not supposed to be walking in, that was just, given this treatment. It happens from time to time that people from these agricultural pesticides get some poisoning, but this is a whole different ball game. This stuff, like less than 10 milligrams of that stuff, and they said that it was put in his tea probably. Less than 10 milligram can already be fatal, right? So this is dangerous stuff. And so this was this case, but what is the political dimension now? What is the economic effect of that now on this pipeline? Now, the German media, the news media, at the time that it happens, now it's gone pretty much, but at the time that it happens, all the newspapers, they were having like 5 articles at the same time. So when you went to these websites, when you looked at the news, you saw only this story for like 1 or 2 days, it seemed like. I was checking occasionally several times during the day, and wherever you went, it was this story, only this story. So they really made sure that they hammer their version of the story into people's minds. There was almost no other news story at that time, and that made me suspicious. And what did they all say? They said, "Well, this is basically proof that Putin is behind that, that the Russian state is somehow involved." Why do they say that? Well, because that stuff was developed and manufactured in the Soviet Union and in Russia. But I think a Wikipedia search or a search engine search already tells you that many other countries also have this stuff, right? NATO countries have it. Iran also produced it, for example. I'm sure the US has it, the UK has it. A lot of people have that stuff. Well, not everybody, of course, but it's not only the Russians. Yeah, a lot of people have that stuff, and this is the only evidence they have. And they say now, well, Putin is behind that, right? It's just one of those stories again that makes me very suspicious because it is like everything is going right for a certain country, and then they like they choose somehow to overstep these red lines that the US draws, for example. It was the same thing in the Levant when Mr. Assad, when it said, oh, don't use this compound, and that's a red line. And what happened? The compound was used, and then the US started their military engagement there under Trump. That is stupid, right? I don't think these people are that retarded. Um, I think that smells. That story makes me suspicious. I don't believe it, okay? And so, what is my opinion on that? Okay? So, first of all, I have two responses basically. The first one is it is not proven that it is Russia, okay? That I mean, why would they do that? And the other thing is we know that Russia does this or this kind of thing. Or we know that they're not nice to their opposition. We know that. We know that it's not like in a model Western democracy that they do dirty things. Sure, we all know that. I'm not going to say that they're like this wonderful Western style democracy nation where the opposition is respected and human rights are respected and their secret police never does anything shady. Of course, I mean, it's Russia. What do you expect? But, and this is not whataboutism. Other countries do that stuff all the time, and they do it not just to one person, they do it to hundreds of people every month, every year, what have you. And Germany, what do you hear from Germany? Crickets, only crickets. They don't say anything to China. They don't say anything in the Middle East. We import oil from the Saudis, okay? I mean, we don't tell them what to do with their opposition or not to do with their opposition. We don't, like, China has actual camps where they put their many people of their Western population. And I mean Western China, not Western in the sense of European, Western Chinese people, right? They're putting camps, and we have lots of business relationships with China. And we're always very careful. We are walking on eggshells when we meet them. We're like, oh, we have such a deep respect for your history and for your culture and for your people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? But when it comes to Russia, then all these rules don't count anymore. And I mean, unless somebody would explain to me why we should treat Russia differently than all the other weird countries that we import stuff from and that we export stuff to. When I go into a supermarket and in Germany and during certain times of the year and I want to buy certain fruits or vegetables, it comes from Egypt, it comes from Morocco. I mean, what does Egypt and Morocco do with their opposition, with their dissidents? What are they doing with them? Do you think they don't have secret prisons? Do you think they do everything by the books according to Western standards? Of course they don't, but we're not allowed to say anything, and of course we import stuff from them, right? So, and this is where, for example, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the commie party in Germany, Die Linke, but I have to give them some credit when they do something that I think is correct. And Frau Wagenknecht, yeah, the more nationalist kind of socialist, if you know what I mean. Yeah, she is no longer a big player in the party, but still, she said that we should not let this incident affect our plans with this pipeline. This is hypocritical. She said it's hypocritical to do that because, just as I just said, this is my opinion also, as I just explained to you, other countries do this kind of crap even at a higher scale, and Germany says nothing. This is hypocritical, okay? And then some politician of that party, whose name I don't want to pronounce because I probably would do it wrong. Some is it is it Middle Eastern, or maybe it's Anatolian? I don't know. But anyway, so she said, it might have been the Russians, it might not have been the Russians. We don't have any evidence. Other countries also have that stuff, and we don't suspect them to be the culprits, right? And yeah, I have to agree with her. That is correct. That is factually correct. Okay. And of course, all the politicians now are flipping. People, especially in the CDU, and I will make another video about that in detail. I will tell you the mechanisms, why they flip, how they flip, and who flips. But it is all these people who said before, oh, the Americans have no right to tell us where we get our energy from, and the Americans just want to sell this liquefied natural gas to us at twice the price or something. This fracking gas, which is also environmentally not so clean, very suspicious, right, or dubious. Um, yeah, they're all flipping now. They say, "Oh, now we have to stop this. That has to be stopped now. There's no way we can do this now." As if they didn't know who they're doing business with before. I mean, has this now changed your opinion about Russia? Come on. I mean, we know Russia does stuff like that. And then I'm not saying that Russia is unlikely to have done this or something. I mean, this would be a thing that I would expect Russians or the Russian government or some oligarch, maybe it wasn't the Russian government, maybe it was some powerful dude in Russia. Yeah, I would expect them to do such things, but I would have expected them to do these things all along. And we, once again, we do business with a lot of shady countries because sometimes we have to, because we need something that they have, and we also need to export our stuff to somewhere. And you know if you choose to be on the high horse, morally speaking, yeah, then please do it to all countries, do it in all instances, and not just when the Americans tell you to do. And it is last note here. Yeah, maybe I should wrap this up, but it is also funny how Donald Trump was asked about this incident. And Donald Trump goes on and on and on about how Germans should stop working with the Russians on this pipeline project. But when he was asked about this incident, about Mr. Navalny, he said, well, we don't have any evidence yet, so we should wait until we have some evidence. And yeah, and the Germans said, "Oh, it's clear that it's the Russians." So it's like the roles are inverted, and this makes me believe that this is all just theater. This is all just theater. This is how it seems like to me. It's almost like they get together and they distribute some roles, like, oh, next week you say that, and oh, okay, and in the week afterwards I say the other thing to confuse the people and stuff. It's just weird. It's really weird that Trump of all people should be the guy to be the cautious guy who says, "Oh, let's stick to the facts. We don't have any evidence." Whereas the Germans, they, like Mr. Maas, our foreign minister, he says we have evidence, and then all he says is hot air. He says, "Oh, there are mountains of evidence," but all he has is, "Well, it happened in Russia, and our secret Bundeswehr lab that no one checks or that nobody has any knowledge about. We don't know what they did in this German army lab. They could just lie. I don't know." So they say it was done with a substance that was manufactured in the Soviet Union. Okay, but then um, uh, yeah, that is not evidence, okay? This is hot air. This is just what they are telling us, but it is not actual evidence. Just think about it, Someone is harmed with a tool that was manufactured in the Federal Republic of Germany, and it happened in Germany. Is that evidence that Angela Merkel is behind it? No, of course not. Yeah? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so there will be a video following where I tell you more um, in detail what German politicians flipped their opinion and why I think they did it. And these are important guys. These are not. These are important guys in Angela Merkel's CDU party, and yeah, they are candidates for being the next chancellor. So these are not nobodies. And I think I have a suspicion why they did that. Okay, so tell me what you think about that stuff, and see you guys later. Servus, Kameraden.